Welcome back to another episode of Women in Leadership. As always, I am very excited for our guest today. We have in studio, Carine Rennie is here with us to share her journeys. And boy, I tell you, she's had a few. So my name is Nikki Check. I'm your host. And let's jump in. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. I was so excited when you gave me a call and you said, please come. So, yes, here we are.
I love it. So I have had the pleasure of slowly getting to know you through community, just with our paths crossing at different events here every once in a while. But I can honestly say that each time that I hear you speak or that I'm with you out in community, it is always a pleasure.
Thank you.
So love to have you here with us and love to share your story. So you, I do know that you immigrated from South Africa.
Far away.
And I know it's quite action-filled story, and some of the stories that I've heard you tell would scare the bejesus out of people. So maybe let's just start there.
Well, I think what's going on in South Africa is no secret at the moment. I think finally it's been blown, in the media, where the media can see what's going on. And I was actually so happy about that because for so many years, it's been said that, we as a white community we're lying about the treatment that we received. And it's not just me, it's many, many, many people. But now people are listening. So many people have fled out of that country. And a lot of them took easier ways out or different countries. Let me tell you, Canada is one of the most difficult countries to get into, but it's worth it. It's worth it. In terms of difficult, I'm saying it's a lot of paperwork. It's they do investigation, and I would like that because I'm moving to a country where I want to be safe. I don't want to run into these same problems years down the line. And so I honor and commend the government for doing that. I mean, that could be a whole speech on its own. But yes, 2019, we decided that we had enough. Well, it was years before that we decided we had enough. Actually, it was almost 8 years it took us to get here.
Really?
Yeah. When you start, you start with investigating, right? First. Where am I going? What am I going to do? What is work-wise? Because 9 out of the 10 times, what we've studied in the past is not recognized when we come to Canada, right? And I found myself running sub-Saharan Africa, in South Africa, high corporate, and I had to come back to Canada doing pedicures again, which there's nothing wrong with. It was just for me the change, right? The move from corporate to doing that again, because that was what my initial qualification was back in the day. And it humbles you, right? It makes you question certain things in your life, for sure.
So maybe for the benefit of the listeners. So you're in South Africa. You are a mom of 3 beautiful boys. You are married, and you are, and this is more of a question than a statement, you're close to family.
Yes, you are, right? You have your village with you. My mom lived 5 houses from us. My brother lived not even 10 kilometers from our house. My elder brother also, not too far, right?
Okay.
It's a close community, but sometimes you have to ask yourself the question, right? Am I doing this just for me to be comfortable? Or am I seeing the bigger picture? The bigger picture for me was if I stayed in South Africa, my 3, and this is so bad to say, but that's what's going on there now. my 3 white boys would have ended up being slaves. Unfortunately, the country is tipped the other way now. So, and that's exactly like they said the other day on the news as well. 2 wrongs don't make a right.
100%.
So I had to decide, am I going to stay and potentially have my boys immigrate all to different countries? Because that's what happens, right? If they sit and the water gets hot and you want to immigrate, I'm going to be too old at that age, you know, it was time of my life to immigrate. You have certain cutoff periods, right? And I just said no. We decided together as you know, husband and wife at the time, that we're going to do it. And we set out and we started with the very long process of the application.
Okay.
We were not in a position to pay a company to do it for us. Canada's website is so informative. Yes, you're going to read and read and read and read, but man, it's everything is there. You can literally do it yourself. We did it all ourselves.
So you come to Canada, and you just mentioned before we went on air, you land in the East because that's how it works.
Well, it depends on which program you come into Canada, right? Now, no one can bind you to the program, but I mean, you want to settle, and for us, it was the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. And at that point, we were like, yes, great. We want to go to the Maritime Provinces. It looks great. Remember now, I'm Googling from South Africa, right? I'm like, where am I not going to die in the snow type of place, right? And we started sending resumes. And resume number 210, that one got it. And he ended up landing a position on the East Coast.
Okay.
And he's my ex-husband now, but my husband at the time was just like, well, I'm not leaving you here and settling. We're going. As a family, we're going. It's much safer. His words were actually, I'm stressing so much when we're here. How do you want me to go and not stress? Yeah. So we ended up moving to Lunenburg in Nova Scotia, where the Blue Nose is, for those who don't know where Lunenburg is. It's 45 minutes drive from Halifax. There's 2,200 people in the town. I kid you not, I met all of them the first week. And because I couldn't work immediately, right? And I was just like, well, that's what we're going to do. We volunteer a lot because on the East Coast, they feed a lot of people. Always. So, yeah. Okay.
So we are an esthetician in South Africa. You did... My research said you did work in pharmaceutical.
So
is that?
Yeah, so it evolved a little bit. I initially studied to be an esthetician.
Okay.
Back in 1999.
Okay.
And then I started my career working for a doctor in South Africa. That was when aesthetics kind of exploded. South Africa was really, it's way ahead of aesthetics than a lot of countries, right? So I worked for her, eventually worked my way up. I launched a company for her. Her husband came with a bag of products and he said, there's these products from France, I want you to launch a company. So I ended up launching a company for him and it was very successful. From there, my career obviously evolved and grew, where I eventually ended up with a pharmaceutical company, but the aesthetic division running Sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
So that's where I ended up all the years later.
So leaving everything behind in South Africa, like I literally can't fathom it. So you're concerned for the future of your boys. You've got all your family there. Your husband at the time gets a job in the east of Canada, and you make that decision. What was that moment of courage like? What was the what was we have everything to gain and everything to lose. What was the moment like, or what was it?
Good question. I believe God prepares us for certain things in our life. So when my house got struck by lightning in 2005 and it burned down to the ground, I had no idea why this happened. However, at the time, I adopted a mentality of what we don't need, we give away. I've always been raised that way, but my dad was a giver, always a giver. If we didn't use a couch for long enough, he would give it away. And so I was raised in that, right? But you stand, I think the last night, what happened was, so our house had a massive gate in the front. We chose not to electrify it because most people got shot in front of their electrified gates. So I would phone my husband at the time and say to him, I'm on my way home. I need to know exactly how far I am from home. Because I have to say, you know what, I'm leaving now. He knows it takes me 12 minutes to get home, right? Because by the time I come around the corner, he comes out of the house with the gun and he meets me in the driveway.
Oh, Carine, I was going to have you correct me. I was going to say, I'm sorry, I think I heard you get shot before you reached the electric fence. You actually mean...
No, but so what happened? Okay. Yeah, you actually get hijacked right in front of your house. That's the reality of these things there, right? So he would meet me in the driveway and he would lock or bolt the gate, and then we would lock our two gates of our back door, and then the big door and another slider gate. And then we would have in our corridor leading to our bedrooms, we had a steel plated, like a gate with a slam lock, so that you can't get to the rooms in the back. And then all your windows have got burglar bars on, right? That's how things work there.
Oh my God.
So I remember that my kids knew, and this is the sad part, but my kids, all three of my boys knew how to lock, load, and shoot a gun at the age of 4, right? My kids had I had to teach them, if mommy says this is an emergency, mommy means this is really an emergency, then we keep quiet. We cover ourselves, we jump. We had an escape plan. And I was just like, an escape plan?
Gives me goosebumps.
Is that what we want?
Yeah, okay.
So that last night, I remember we had a wall outside, and you can hear when someone kind of jumps the wall. It's a big 6-foot wall, but you can hear when it moves, right? And I heard the wall, and I heard my husband running in with the 2 boys. It was my youngest at the time, and he was 8.5 about. He was 7. And then his best friend was there as well, same age. And he came in the house and he yelled, gun. And I remember grabbing the boys and saying to them, it's an emergency. So I knew that he knew where to hide. And I remember taking the gun, and he slam-locked the gates, locked us in, and then I slid the gun under the gate to him, and he ran out to go check what's going on. And I remember when that was over, he just came to me and he said to me, I said, we're done. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I agree, we're done. We're so done. I can't raise my kids like this. You know, I was just waiting for that moment where it would blow up. We lived not even 100 meters from their school. My kids were not able to walk there unless we were with them. And that's the sad reality of South Africa at the moment. Unfortunately, it's not what it was. I had to carry a gun every day, right? For me, it was just, you with your kids. I was on the road a lot. So I've had people swarm my car at a traffic light, just the fact that you can sit in Canada at a traffic light and you're safe, that's grace. Because in South Africa, you can't do that. You have to check, because now there's a guy here trying to wash your window, and he might spray acid in your window, or he might knock your window out, or he might try and grab a bag, or, you know, any of those things. I've had rioters swarm my car saying, you know, you're white, get out, you don't belong here. once again, two wrongs don't make a right. But that was just the reality of it. So coming to Canada was hard. It was one of the hardest things I've had to do. But I always say, the juice was worth the squeeze.
Okay, so we're here, we're safe. You're in Nova Scotia, and you have met the 2,000 people that live there, and you are working? No, not yet.
I'm not allowed, right? I'm on a visitor visa.
Okay.
So busybody me has to stay at home because the kids are on student visa, so they're at a school, and I'm on a visitor visa. So I was volunteering. I learned the magic of volunteering because we don't have the big volunteering system that Canada has in South Africa. It works very differently, right? So I was literally peeling potatoes, cleaning strawberries. That's the type of volunteer work they're looking for on the East Coast. So that was what I was doing.
So what a system shock it must have been to go from I lost count as you were telling the story of the steel doors, 10 and guns, to come to a small town Canadian community that has like a population of 2,000, which, I mean, seriously, we leave our doors unlocked.
Like that.
Other people take care of other people's kids. We pick each other's up. We help out. We stop. You're carrying groceries. We stop you, invite you in the car. You're safe coming into the car for all intents and purposes. What a shock.
Yes.
But positive.
Yes, I had shingles. I got shingles because the PTSD, all of a sudden you don't have it. You're operating here for so many years. I mean, there were so many things that I've gone through, and I don't like to like hard on that because I believe that life is 10% of what happened to you and 90% of what you make of it.
I love that.
It's so important that we don't sit and go, oh, poor me. No. I can go, poor me.
Some do.
Yeah, but that's not a very productive way of thinking, right? Now this battlefield of your mind gives you these thoughts, and now I take those thoughts and I create stories. And the stories that I creates outcomes, right? I'm in charge of that.
Yeah.
I put that into motion. So you know what? We need to get rid of these mind-binding things that we have, and we need to surrender our thoughts and take them captive. Think about what you're thinking about. That makes the difference in life.
I love the think about what you're thinking about. It is just that easy. Okay, so fast forward to today. You are now in Canada for
Yes, June 2019. Yeah, so we're 6 years.
6 years, and you have relocated. You went through a divorce, and you are reinventing careers. And I read somewhere, I found it interesting. I read somewhere. So again, you were or are sales at Boulevard? No.
I was. Yes. I ran Boulevard for 2 years in the Okanagan with the group publisher.
And now you're a realtor. You've passed your test. You've got your license.
Yes, I got that last year. Yes. Okay. Yes.
And I think I read somewhere that you state or say that you're not sales, or you don't do sales, or you're not a salesperson. You are absolutely a master salesperson. So can you sort of unpack the relationship maybe you have with the term of sales? Because you come about it very differently. Yes. It's obvious.
Yes, it's people first, right? I've been, if you want to put it as sales, I've been in sales and marketing for almost 30 years. running different companies. I own my own companies, my own laser clinics. I develop my own product. There's a lot of things that I've done in my life. But the one thing that I have always put number one is people. Mm-hmm. I am not a pushy salesperson. For me, it is, if you have a need, I want to help you fill that need to that ability where you go, right? No matter what it is. I found it frustrating that people try to sell me stuff the whole time that I don't need. And it was like, oh, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you should do this. I don't have to do nothing, and I shouldn't do anything. I should tell people what they want to know. I'm a very good listener, so I love to ask the questions to say to people, how would I know what it is that you're looking for if I don't even know who you are as a person, right? You might tell me something, but I'm going to start learning who you are and reading you as we go along. So years ago when I started working for this doctor, and my house burned down, and I had to make money because my house burned down. Everything we had, we lost everything, right? There was many graces in that. God was really good. So that's a story on its own. But I was like, okay, well, there's one thing I'm good at. I'm an esthetician, and I'm good at helping people. I'm not going to sell you a product that I know is not going to give you the result that you are looking for, and I'm going to be very honest with you in terms of treatment. So obviously, I'm natural at it because I take that time to listen. I remembered I've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so listen twice before you speak once, right? And I just built that relationship with people, and then I was like, well, if this is what I'm going to do, if sales, yes, but people, if I'm going to invest my time in people, I better learn how they work, what makes them tick, how personality-wise. I would like to read someone in 3 seconds. Tell me what personality it is. That for me was this goal, where I looked at everything from body languages and personalities, and I did counseling. I did a trauma counseling course, and I did all these things because my heart is really for people. It's really to help people in the best possible way, and not the help. I think the one thing I decided when I stepped into real estate is I want to be the difference, and I want to make the difference for people to build. I think there was a time where people lost their faith in realtors a little bit. You're just a realtor. But then there's this group of realtors who's really excelling at what they do. And, I like to keep my eyes on them to see what we can do, and to keep my eyes on the others too, to see what I should not do. But yeah, it's not about a paycheck. It's about so much more than that. These are humans,
And I see you do this in your work in Dress for Success. You're very passionate about that organization. I understand you've done work with Swinging with the Stars, recognized as a Rising Woman of the Year. So very much, I think it's easy to see that you are committed to the region and to actually fulfilling the mission of helping people, because you do it. You show up, you'll be on Instagram in a planker doing push-ups, which I am not doing, for a cause. So
that was for cancer. That was for Gabby, the BC Cancer Foundation. We were collecting funds, yes.
So I see you often stepping up into community. You've been on stages. You've spoken at the is it Amante?
I've spoken at Amante conferences, at the Chic event as well. I've spoken there, and few other places, some podcasts, and I wrote a chapter in a book. And
I did see that. I did, and I've been able to witness that often, and so leading up to those events, I mean, you are able to articulate yourself quite clearly and with passion. Is there ever a time that you were stepping onto any of those stages that your heart was beating, that you were scared, that you were unsure? Do you do a ton of preparation behind the scene, or do you and leading up to the event, or do you come in quite authentically with an idea of the message that you want to give and then just begin to speak into
Good
it? What's your
question.
style?
I love to just come in authentically. I feel like it's my story. I tried it once by writing it down on a piece of paper, and it felt very fake for me because I was like, okay, I have to read this. And when I speak, I'm very passionate. Lots of movements with my hands and my face, and I like to get in there because there's a lot of emotion in what I do and portray. And so yes, it's better for me to just show up and be authentic and be myself and tell people what I went through instead of telling them a story. It's you need to learn about me, right? Yes, it is. Sometimes I slip over my words. Remember, my first language is not English, right? I'm Afrikaans. My first language is Afrikaans. I was raised Dutch Reformed. So yeah, some of my family members can't even speak proper English, right? My mom was just this firecracker of a woman that just everything, and she was just like, since we were small, like, well, you will do it. You're a woman, you could do it. You do it. You just do it. I think there was a time in my life that I really believed that there was nothing I couldn't do. The way my mom looked at me to say, yes, you can, was just like, oh, well, sure, I can do anything. I can do anything. And I said it to her the other day. I said to her, you know what? It was that look on your face that you gave me and that words that you said. And you know what she did? She's 71 now. She turned around, she looks at me, she goes, and it's true. And I went,
Conviction.
yeah.
Yeah. Your mom is still with you today?
My mom is still with me. She's in South Africa. You know,
are you worried?
I am. I speak to my mom every day. My mom is she lives in a safer community. It's not lawless everywhere. Like there's certain things we do different. We don't go out at night. We stay, where we can stay, we're actually going there in August, and my niece is getting married. So we'll stay, it's like a compound type of place. So it's a massive, my brother has a massive house, 6-foot walls with some electric fencing on top, 3 big gates with a massive camera outside. So once you're inside, you're safe, right?
Yep.
And you just have to use wisdom in terms of when we stop at a traffic light, we don't stop against another car. We leave some space. When we go out, we come back before the sun sets, or we don't go on a certain road before the sun's up. We're smart. Handbag, you don't leave the handbag. I remember coming to Canada and going into a Walmart, and a woman's handbag was there in a trolley, and she was around the corner looking at clothes. And I said, well, I'm standing right here. I'm just keeping an eye on her handbag. If someone snatches that thing, what is she going to do? Right? That happens. In South Africa, we carry our bags in the front. Here, you don't carry anything on your back because they'll cut it and take your wallet, right? So it's little things that we need to be grateful for. Every single day, I say to my kids, remember where you come from. Be grateful where you are. Because we forget. We forget that I drive past, there's a bicycle lying there. The kid quickly went inside. That bike's still there.
Yeah.
The ladder on the back of the truck is still there. Those little things are still there. That's grace. That doesn't happen everywhere. We live in one of the safest countries in the world. And I know everything is not ticking the way everyone wants it to tick, but let me tell you, I've traveled quite a bit. and I've seen some things. And this country, man, we got it good.
I love that, Carine, and it's so important that we hear this message, because we do take things for granted, and we forget that life is easier here than it is in some other places, and I think we do take that for granted. So it's a beautiful message that you share, and it sounds so. As I'm listening to your checklist of all the things, it sounds like it's not just street smart, it's like survival necessity. And yeah, we don't have that here.
Yeah, nothing, right? I had a bag packed at my house for many years that had
your go bag.
Grab and go bag that we had. And if something goes south, I need to be able to take care of my kids. I need to be able to medically look after my kids. If I am stranded for a month in the field, I have to take care of my kids. These are things you learn, right? And I did a natural healer type course. It sounds very airy-fairy if I say it that way, but it's literally just plant medicine. I love plant medicine. I love essential oils. God gave us that. It's on the earth. We can use it, right? So I did quite a substantial, my final year thesis when I was studying was on the natural approach to healthy healing. Because these are skills we learn in life. And these little things, these horrible things that happen to us can be the skills to pivot us forward.
Yeah.
If we get quiet in the moment and go, well, why am I here? What can I learn from it? What can I let go? And what can I use to grow and move forward with? That's
beautiful. Carine, you are truly a warrior, and you have wisdom that does transcend your years. And I again, we could debate whether it's like necessity learned or passed on from your parents, or it's nature nurture. I don't know, but you have wisdom that goes well beyond your years, and I'm wondering. Again, I have seen you not that many times in community, but I have a good read on people. I have a good sense. You're in the good human bucket for sure. So when nobody is watching you, what version of you is there? What are the messages that are saying? Is it very much what you're sharing with us?
Yeah. I believe like you have to be inside your house, the same person as you outside your house. In my previous marriage, I was not. It felt like I was living a lie. And when I came out of there, I was like, this is it. I never want to go back. Never want to say, oh, it was so great, or he was so good. And actually I was like, oh, please kill me now. I can't be here anymore. So it's really, you have to be authentic in everything you do. Am I perfect? Oh, hell no. Like I always say, like, it doesn't mean because I love God, I'm perfect. Like I don't have a badge that sticks out that says I'm 100% perfect. I make mistakes every single day. The difference is I want to learn from them and I want to grow and not repeat the same mistakes. The other thing is as well is my kids are teenagers like any other teenager. And my 16-year-old is just as moody, and he's probably just as moody as I was when I was a teenager, and I was very difficult. My poor mom, right? So him is okay. So sometimes I find it better to text him, right, than to just have deep conversations right now. So we adapt. I'm human. I'm normal. I make mistakes. I also go through things, emotional things, and you know what? I think it's just, instead of getting stuck at it, I've learned that there are certain tools that can help me move through them. I really love where I live. The Okanagan is such a nourishing place to the soul. It is healing. It is, nature here is bountiful. bountiful
So
in
abundant.
healing, right?
Yeah.
So yes, if I'm having a bad day, I will go sit at the lake with my feet in the water by myself. This
Grounded,
morning,
yeah.
I was on Knox just after 7, sitting on a rock praying with my dog, because that's my day, right?
Yeah.
Every day is different for me. How does it work today? Because I might not have the ability to be there by tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I'll need to be there at 6. But I'll go. Somewhere, I'll take my time. I also, for me, my religion is really important. So I spend a lot of time in the Word, and that's in the mornings. I sit. I have to start my day. I always said, if I don't start my day that way, I'm a really horrible person. That's, I find the Bible is saying basic instructions before leaving Earth. That's how I take it.
Okay.
And I read that and I move with that. But yeah, that's kind of the things that I do.
So you've recently put on Facebook, I think is where I saw it, your engagement. You are to be wed again, and I'm curious in the faith or the courage and where it comes from, and I think I probably now know the answer, to know and understand that the previous relationships weren't quite right, but you had the courage and the strength to keep your heart open and to be able to find that person for you.
I feel like we need to be the right person, right? No matter where we are in what relationship or whatever, we bring something to it. And there's also the law of attraction, right? We know what we set out, we attract. I mean, some people say it's crazy, and other people would say, I know it, because you'll see in crowds, for instance,
Yes.
big seminars where they'll ask questions like, who has happened this to? And then suddenly a group of people raise their hands and they're all sitting kind of in the same vicinity.
Oh, fascinating.
And you are like, oh my gosh, how random that we would sit right next to each other and this actually happened to both of us. That is the law of attraction. That's how the spirit realm works. That's how the world works. What we sow, we reap, right? We're energy. We are people of energy. We made that way. So we attract that. That's the same reason our bodies hold on to trauma, right? I remember there was this study as well with this little girl sitting on top of her dad's lap in a bomb shelter. And the bomb went off and the little girl started shaking. And one of the guys tried to calm her down. And the dad was like, leave. It has to shake out of your system, because that's how the body works, right? Being raised Dutch Reformed, a lot of these things were like a no-no, right? There was like a lot of things that you have to like, oh, this is so wrong and this is so wrong, and try and shove me in a box. Oh my gosh, I will rock my box and tip it over. So there was a lot of things that I explored and I kept reading, but I always had my dad's voice in the back of my head. My dad was a very like super entrepreneur, and I was the bad one. I was chosen. I had to be in his office. Such a great thing now, right? I learned so much. So since I was 14, I ran in the holidays and stuff his office because my mom worked there the other times that we were in school. But the one thing he said to me was, you can study and learn whatever you want, but if you don't have world knowledge, you're not going anywhere. This communication, how to speak to people, how to help people, really help people. Not, yes, sometimes I find it's very different in the Canadian culture and in the South African culture when it comes to certain things. Like, we are very involved. Like, for me, I've had a few friends move, and then I go, well, which day are you moving? And they go, Friday. Why? I'm like, because I'm bringing you dinner. Because where I'm from, we bring you dinner. when you move in, we bring you dinner, everyone comes, they hang the curtains, they make the beds, make sure that you as a family can have a good night's rest and you have a good meal. And then tomorrow you can pack out your crap, right? That's got nothing to do with me. But at least that first night you're okay. That's caring. Caring is not just saying something to someone. I am here for you if you need support. Oh, really? Are you? Are you? You know what? Get up. We don't need wishbone. We need backbone. We need people who will get their hands dirty and help people in the community. Because it's not about, yes, some people help better with giving them money. Or, you know, they don't have the ability to help. But if you do have the ability to help anyone, get up and help them. Why not?
I've heard you so many times speak with such reverence of your father, of your dad. He clearly had such an impact on your life. And I believe, if I remember right, when I heard you speaking at the Let's Not Sugarcoat It event for the book that you co-authored, your dad was a real big influencer, or not even influencer, had such an impact on your confidence, your grit, your perseverance, your determination, and so much woven into the fabric of you.
My dad was an incredibly hard man. He was, okay, let me put it this way.
Okay.
I learned later in my life, when I became a mom, that we only do what we know. There's a limit of an ability. If I look at the way my mom raised me, I need to look at how she was raised, right? Because she would have a limit of what she knows, emotionally or whatever. So now it doesn't help me chastising her now because she didn't take me to therapy when I was 4 back in 1984, right?
Right.
Because back then, it wasn't a thing. Back then, if you went to a counselor, you were seen as someone who had a problem, right? Sure. So I learned to accept where people were at. And my dad, he had a horrible mom. I'm even sorry, she was just horrible to me. And but she was, you know, I grew up in a very sexist country, sexist time. It was all men, big boardrooms. And I think my dad, in his weird way, which most people would go, oh, that's probably emotional abuse. But you know what? It was good for me at the time.
Okay.
Because he would say, you know, he would challenge me, like with things where only men in our country could do certain things. He would challenge me and say, to do them. And then he would tell me, come, do it. You can. So he was the one to stood behind me. But in front of the bodies, no, it wasn't him.
No, that's fascinating.
But because there was culture, right? So he made me so street smart. And he didn't have grace. I remember once he sent me to go pick up a check for him at a company. And I got to the gate and I said to the guy at the gate, he didn't say to me, sign in. But I was like, okay, I'm just picking up a check. So obviously I should have stopped and signed in. But you know what? I'm smart and 17 and I know everything. And so I go in and my dad was inside for a meeting. And then, well, that was that time. And then the next time we were there, we were together. Let me just correct that. So I was alone there. And then me and my dad went back to the same place like a week later.
Okay.
And when I got there, the owner gunned me. She's like, why did you not sign in at my gate? And she just went like, you have to sign in. There's certain things to do. And I remember my dad just stood there.
And let me
take it. And as a child, I stood there, I thought, oh my gosh, is he not going to fight for me? And I looked at him and he said to me, did you sign in? And I said, And he went, you know what's right and you know what's wrong. Simple as that. And he's lessons. He believed there were so many lessons in life. We always had to learn lessons. You have to be grateful. Like, it was very hard sometimes, but you take what you learn from that and you move forward and you try to do things differently.
But again, you said it. Some you take and you come to terms with it and you make it your own, and others you need to discard and get rid of.
Change the mindsets.
So yeah. So listening to you, so going forward to today, there are a number of realtors in the city. Mm-hmm. There always are. But I think the real difference that I hear with you is the appreciation and the gratitude and the ability to see the beauty of this region and to be able to articulate that to others that are maybe not familiar with Kelowna. So yes. I know so many people will come into our city and they're like, oh my God, if I knew it was like this, I would have been here sooner.
Right.
And people don't know. Kelowna is a secret, and many that live here don't want to tell anybody because we some of
find
us.
Out and they come. It's like when I leave the people in South Africa when they say, oh my gosh, it just snows there. I go, yeah.
Super cold. Lots of people die.
Very, very cold where I
am. Yeah. It's interesting. So I think you obviously have the gift of storytelling and communicating and being able to read what people need to hear and have the ability to speak it. But I think you can really cheerlead and champion our region well and make sure that it is a match for those people to come here to this region.
That's the thing, right? Community, giving back, connection, those things is very important to me. So when I highlight it, for instance, on my Instagram account, every Wednesday I do a business feature. I just choose, a business in the community. I've had people reach out to me, and I've had, people asking for it, others I approach, whatever. I just feel like every business needs to be shone a light on. We're a community for everyone, right? And with that, it brings us closer together also. And it's very different because I wasn't born and raised here. I mean, I was in Canada. I remember sitting at a desk. I worked for a doctor, and there was a patient that came in, and he didn't like the news I gave him. And he's like, well, where are you from anyway? And I said, I'm from South Africa. And he's like, well, yes, you're taking over our city. And I went and I said, you know what? Good thing, because now you have doctors here. So, but once again, like I'm saying, it's different being an immigrant. I'm a mom of three, right? Yeah. Out of all regard, a mom of three that I need to take care of. Now I've got to convince people, I haven't been raised here. I promise you I'm honorable. But now they've had bad experiences in the past, right? It makes it hard. Yeah. So I always say, don't listen to what I say. Watch where my feet goes. I'll show you. Yeah. I'll show you I'm different because I know I'm different. Because I know where it comes from, and I know the care where it comes from. Gives me the ability to give people that boutique style approach. I have clients flying in this weekend from a different province, which I'm taking around, showing the Okanagan. We're going to visit lots of properties. I'm taking them from different countries. So I'm taking them to a local place where they'll have a little bit of their own country and just showing them a few things, right? They have to feel at home. I remember coming to a different country. It's the most difficult thing to do is to immigrate. Let me tell you that. And I remember when the people, there was 2 South African ladies that lived in the community, barged in my door. I'm like, okay. And they're like, okay, we don't knock here. I'm like, well, thank you for telling me. So they came in and they had this basket, and they had farm fresh eggs, and they had local stuff like South African stuff that they make, like rusks and, you know, stuff true to our culture, but also stuff that's Canadian that they went, oh, that is like this in South Africa. And I remember feeling
That connection.
so connected.
Yeah.
Because it was right after that where I walked into a Walmart and I remember standing in the laundry detergent aisle and there's so many options and none of them are the same. And I bursted into tears. I was like, well, which one do you choose?
Oh
right?
my gosh.
It's a hard thing to do. Imagine being rooted up to a different country. It took me 6 weeks to get my trash to be removed. I didn't know how these people recycle. And on the East Coast, they're harsh. They put stickers on your stuff. Like, it's a very big job, right?
The things we
But
take for granted.
I remember what
Yeah.
I did. I took a book, a big A4 book, and I took every piece of paper that I could find to how people settled. I would put a picture in there of the PC Optimum card. Say, PC Optimum card works like this. This is how you get points. This is how you get cash back. And I used to do it with everything. And then when we moved there, I gave that book to another South African. And I said to him, keep writing, keep passing. Because it's important, right? Those are the little things that you want to know. What is the closest place that I can go buy a new shirt?
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. Or a place where I can buy shoes or a pan. It comes natural to people who
If we're
grow
born
up.
in it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. Carine, I thank you so much for coming in and spending time with us. You've traveled many roads and not always safe ones. Is there any lasting piece of wisdom you would give to our younger generation that may be trying to find themselves or find a career or maybe just even the right way on the compass, that are feeling a little bit lost? Any wisdom you'd share?
Yeah, so someone said that to me a while ago, because, I mean, as we get raised sometimes, and I know where I'm from, we got raised this way, it's like, you've got to decide what you want to do with your life. You've got to do it for the rest of your life. You've got to decide. It's so much pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going because I wanted to study something specific, and I was totally denied. I wasn't the smartest kid in school. I wasn't, because I was the youngest. I was wet behind the ears. I was arrogant, and I thought I knew everything. So definitely not the smartest. But then someone said to me that the average person changes careers 7 times in their life. So take the pressure off of choosing one career that you've got to do, and say, what skill do I need to learn in order to carry me forward in the future? What do I love? Sit and make a little list about, what do I like? I like people. I like to talk to people. I don't want to be in an office. It doesn't turn out good for me or the people. I want to be somewhere where I can have different flexibility. Those are the things I like. What's my values? My values are connection. It is, sewing into people. What are your values? Then go look at that and say, right, this is where I'll start. And then the saying is inundated a million gajillion times, and no one actually knew who said it, but just be the change you want to be. If I say to my kids, I've got one son left in school, and he'd be like, oh, this guy was so nasty. And I'd be like, well, you were nice to him, right? Mom, I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I'm like, yes, but you know what? He'll never learn if you don't show him a different way. And that's where we've got to be the change. Smile. Just smile at that person in the grocery store. Just say hi. Do you know what? I find it. There's so many friendly people here, and then there's so many people, when you walk up to them, they look away. And I'm big mouth. Hello, how are you? How's your day? But yeah, reach out. And you know what? You never know what someone is going through.
So true.
Never. So be kind. Really be kind.
Love it. Carine, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. I've really appreciated your time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. I love chatting to you.
Thank you.